Yo,
What's up?
What up?
howdy ho, neighbor Joe.
What's up? I just wanted to jump in and say what up. I haven't seen y'all in forever.
Yeah, it's been a minute, man.
Man,
Sorry. Don't mean to delay you boys.
Oh
I
no,
just
not at all. How you been?
good, man. Tired.
That's
So
fair.
tired.
you
Always.
look
So no,
tired.
pretty much nothing's changed.
When's a music video dropping, dog?
Whenever we get all the fucking shit up on our aggregator.
Oh,
So
that
That's
sounds like
exciting.
science.
yeah, it should be cool. It's a lot, man. It's really so much work.
It
I
sounds like
thought
it.
being in a band was just gonna be like cool and chicks, and it's just like work.
Dude, show us the Minnesota corner, dude.
Oh, dude, working on it, but you know, got the Jefferson jersey, the
Oh
the
shit.
Buffalo Bills catch signed Justin Jefferson. I got some stuff down there I'm still working through, but
Hell yeah.
yeah, dude.
It's
Nice, dude. None of
exciting.
it fell down yet.
No, not yet.
Sweet. Yeah. You owe me a couple DMZs, dog.
That's why I hit you up today. I was like, y'all podding or are we DMZing or what's up?
Well, why
Oh
don't you give us
shit.
an intro or something we can splice into this to tease people?
Uh, Intro?
Yeah, dude.
Let's see.
You know the call sheet.
Oh God, it's been a while.
Okay.
Hi, and welcome back. We are RDR, and you're the listeners? I don't know, man. Welcome. We're on a mission of dynasty domination.
I took a Lisa on your heart. I took a Lisa on your heart. Can I Lisa, Lisa Bart? Can I Lisa, Lisa Bart? Can I Lisa, Lisa Bart?
Welcome back, everybody. We are Rough Draft Research. You are the audience, and together we are on a quest for dynasty domination. Appreciate AJ for the throwback intro there. That was nice. Good to talk to him for a little bit there.
Little rusty.
A little rusty for sure. He forgot it. He was the one that made it, and he forgot it. That's insane. But yeah, we're back doing something a little bit different for you guys today. So without further ado, I'm just gonna let you go ahead and tell them what we're doing.
Okay, man. Usually you're right. It is about dynasty domination, but we're taking back to the old school.
Mm.
You know, those first leagues that we were all in that got us hooked on it. We're going back to the redraft domination days, man. And basically we're we're cheating. We're cheating everybody and ourselves by doing our actual fantasy football homework for the podcast this week. In my case, anyway, we're gonna put together our dream redraft rosters using like realistic round by round ADP and kind of give a little bit of tidbits of why we're interested in some of these guys at the value they're going for. We're each going to construct our own team just round by round, and we'll do a quick review at the end and call that good, man. But I don't know about you, but this is kind of cool, man. In Dynasty, you forget how these guys are like instantaneously valued, you know,
Mm-hmm.
because like benches are deep and you have these love affairs and you're projecting for the future.
Mm-hmm.
But spend some time with redraft ADP. It's kind of fun, kind of a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's interesting. I do a couple redrafts every year, and I sneak in a few rookies that I know I definitely shouldn't in redrafts because I'm just obsessed with them, and it's probably going to happen again this year. But yeah, it was fun, man. It was fun digging back into the old school times for sure.
Hell yeah.
Um,
Well,
Go
I
ahead.
thought I'd let you open it up, man.
Yeah, okay. Sounds good. The first round this year is kind of tough to me. There's not a lot of RBs in the top 12 that I really want to take a chance on. There's like CMC, Atlanta's RB3 on the depth chart. Obviously Travis Kelce is always interesting as tight end in the first.
Mm-hmm.
But there's just so much talent at receiver. I think that's the way to go in the first round right now, at least based on the ADP we were working with.
Yeah.
I have a tendency to go super obvious when we do these little things. So like
Dude.
Jamar Chase is like the guy that like screams out to me, or like Justin Jefferson. And that just seemed too easy to me. So
Yeah.
I'm not going to go with Chase, but just for the record, I do think him and JJ will be kind of swapping wide receiver one for the foreseeable future. But with that said, and although I'm not a particularly religious person, I am going to put my faith in the sun god in the first round, and I'm going to take
Oh,
Amon-Ra St. Brown.
damn, dude. I like that a lot.
ADP at 11 on Fantasy Pros. I just think he has a chance to really, really crush it again this year. I've got a quote from Dan Campbell here. There's no way he's not going to have a big year. And I believe him. Like, I completely believe him. The coaching staff absolutely loves him. He's setting the standard for the Lions over there. Jameson Williams going to be suspended for the early part of the year. We've got a rookie at tight end who I think is actually going to dominate the
Yeah.
target share as well. Gibbs as well. But I think ARSB, Gibbs, and Laporta could end up taking like 90% of the target work together early on. Like Marvin Jones is there and he's interesting, and I think he'll be a good player. But in terms of like target percentage and like actual volume, it's going to be Amon-Ra all day. In his rookie season, he had 21.4% of the Lions target share as a rookie. And last year he had 28.1%. And now he's just coming out here catching balls with all kinds of one-handed catches in practice. Like, I just think it's going to go up. And I think there's a chance that like in a PPR league, you could see like a Cooper Cup type season from a while ago out of Amon-Ra. Because the Lions need to score. Their defense isn't the best. It's improving. And they're good at scoring. And they have a chance to win the division this year. So they're going to be going off. They cannot let a lack of weapons slow them down. So it's going to be ARSB early and often.
ARSB. I like that, man. I'll just start calling him that. Yeah, man. This is I love that. Like I think we're getting a lot of like callbacks in this episode. And the Lions wide receiver room and like the target shares to the viable options there is like something we love to talk about.
Yeah.
And I love to see us kicking off with that, man. So good call, good call. I also agree with you on the wide receiver comment you made. It does seem like that's the way to go at the top of the draft this year. It's just running back. It's just like I don't know. It doesn't feel trustworthy. There's not enough like new turnover. There's too many top end guys like not consistently reproducing, and you don't get that with some of these wide receivers. So I'm gonna follow in your footsteps, and I'm going for Stephon Diggs. I don't know
Okay.
if you guys heard of this. Must love Diggs. It's the kind of thing we talk about a little bit. Oh yeah, I get the
Hot sauce.
sauce. He's got the hottest sauce. I mean, let's just talk about this real quick. Everything's weird with the Bills, and I think it's kind of like putting a damper on his stylings. But 2022 was 11 touchdowns for him. That's a career high. I don't think that there's anyone really on this roster that's been added that's going to challenge his target share. I mean, Dalton Kincaid is up in the house, but like that's not really messing with Stephon. The guy had 154 targets last year. That's huge. That's a gigantic amount. That's 60 more than the next guy up with Gabe Davis. So I think that people are sleeping on him a little bit more than anything. I think that he has a chance to finish as a top 3 wide receiver. And I think this team is going to want to silence the haters by like starting the season off just blowing people out. And so I'm looking for it, man. I'm looking for him to have some huge weeks. I mean, there's not a lot to it. I think Stephon is getting slept on just a little bit. So
yeah, I agree. It seems like he's getting pushed out of the upper echelon of wide receivers a little bit early. He still crushed it last year. I think a lot of it had to do with the contract weirdness at the beginning of the year, the beginning of the offseason. But now that seems to be worked out. So I'm with you. There's no reason he shouldn't be a top 5 receiver. Moving to the second round, I'm tempted here to do wide receiver. because Garrett Wilson is screaming at me in the second round,
dude.
and and I think it makes a lot of sense. But just because of the way the rest of the draft kind of works out, I wanted to get a superstar running back here, and there's two I like a lot. Like Bijan's a steal to me in the second round. I think he's easily a top 10 running back, but I feel like Nick Chubb is about to have his last true superstar season. And I think it's going to be a doozy, and I want to be a part of it as much as I can. Kareem Hunt is gone. He was taking 42% of the snaps at running back, as well as 32% of the actual RB workload. Nick Chubb was at 65. So that's like a pretty high number, and you don't think it's actually going to get that much higher. But Jerome Ford already got hurt in preseason. He's expected to miss some time. They're working out running backs right now, so they're going to be a little shaky on that number 2 running back spot. I mean, you have Demetric Felton there who could take some of the receiving work, but it doesn't seem like they're overly thrilled with him. We didn't see him a lot last year. So I think that's going to lend to them leaning on Nick Chubb really, really early and really, really often. And I think the number that's going to go up a lot more is his targets. It seems fairly obvious, but he had his second highest target total last season with 37, and they let Kareem Hunt go after that. I feel like they trust him in the receiving game now, and I think he might set his career high. Now, his career high would be 50, but if he gets 50, 55 targets, you're talking about a guy who was a top 10 running back, a top 5 running back when he had 20 targets. And you're talking about him getting 30 more now. I think it could push him up. And I think Nick Chubb has a legitimate chance to be like the RB1 in fantasy. That'd be a stretch. That'd be tough because he doesn't receive enough. But I think he has a legitimate chance to lead the league in rushing yards and touchdowns. And if he adds enough receiving, he could get that done.
All right, man. I'm with you on that. I like that. I mean, yeah, without Kareem Hunt, it's the doors are wide open, man. So I like it. I'm gonna kind of shadowing you here on my running back in the second round. Maybe it should be mentioned we're doing PPR single QB.
Yeah, probably should say that.
At this point, it's probably pretty obvious. We would have been probably wrestling over a few QBs by now. But yeah, in the same conversation, you're basically saying I'm going with Derrick Henry on this one. And I feel like this whole process, there's so many guys that I've avoided for years. Like your CMC, even your Saquons and Derrick Henry. Like, I don't know why I've avoided them, thinking they're overrated a little bit, but all of them have kind of dropped in value, and their production hasn't really dropped off. And so I'm right there willing to scoop it up. I mean, he's coming off about 350 attempts last year, and the 13 touchdowns wasn't amazing. I mean, it's amazing, but it's not like Derrick Henry amazing. I think with, Hopkins in this offense, a little bit more two-dimensional, I think that opens up Derrick Henry even further to get up and running. He did also, as Nick Chubb did, had his highest career targets last year, with only 41. That's a good thing to see. Obviously, we have Tajay Spears, rookie coming in, has some excitement with him. I'm not too worried about Hassan Haskins right now. But yeah, man, I think it's good, especially I think if they can transition to Will Levis, man. I think like just that safety blanket and a little more fear in the defensive secondary is just going to open things up for him to do, the same stuff he's been doing forever. 1,500 yards last year, played a full season. Like I'm okay with this. I like what I see from him.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I was saying last year that I didn't want Henry, and I'm kind of in the same camp this year, but like you're saying, man, he just continues to produce and continues to be a top 5 running back. So snatch him up while you can. He's only going to be around for so much longer.
Yeah, he's 29 years old.
Yeah. So, but consistency is key. So you can't argue with that. Going into the third, this one's pretty simple. It's a little risky for me, but I'm gonna address the tight end room, and I'm gonna go Mark Andrews, ADP of 31. I'm banking on Todd Monken spending all of his time with Brock Bowers and just wanting to use Mark Andrews to replace that void. I want a piece of the Ravens offense this year because I think they're going to be better. I think we're going to get a really good version of Lamar this season. And Lamar is like an interesting guy you could take later. I'm weary of the wide receivers. There's some interesting prospects of them later, like Zay Flowers almost made it onto this list. But I'm banking on the 27-year-old, by the way. Mark Andrews is only 27. Isn't that he seems way older than that to me, so that's wild. But I'm banking on him returning to that tight end 2 form. And I'm gonna take him right here, just kind of not worry about that position for the rest of my draft, and then just build depth everywhere else. It's a bit risky given that he went down last season, but I'm kind of just, he was hurt, and I'm banking on him just being able to come back and work in the new look Ravens offense.
Oh yeah. I mean, yeah, you know what you're getting with Mark Andrews, and I think that you can't go wrong with your decision there, man. I do think Lamar is also getting slept on a little bit, so it's good to hear I'm not alone there. I was being alone on opinions and makes them feel like they could be incorrect. So
yeah,
not going down that road. But I'm going down a weird road as I'm noticing that I'm taking my third 29-year-old player, going back to wide receiver for my dream team. And I'm going with Amari Cooper.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good pick.
And I don't know why this is happening with Amari. He's going off the board at number 32 on the ADP, which I think it's kind of crazy. He was a top 10 wide receiver last year, and that was with some Brissett and some kind of crappy Watson action. He also, I mean, he had a career high touchdowns with 9 TDs last year, and he had 132 targets. I think you get a healthy Watson or whatever, a mentally healthy or prepared to play Watson, things can only go better. I think they could improve. And I think I'm looking at, probably passing the peak for Cooper this year, but I think we could still get some of that high level stuff. He's basically coming off his best season, and keep it rolling, baby.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I took Cooper in a couple best ball leagues. I think he does have one or two more like pretty elite seasons coming up. And like you're saying, like Watson didn't look great last year, but another year in that system, I think they're going to be all right. And I'm kind of banking on that with my Nick Chubb pick. So into round 4, and I'm going back to the wide receiver room, and we're doing a guy who's ADP of 44. And I'm banking on him finally being the guy that we think he is, and it's Jerry Jeudy. I'm going for it. For the belt, I'm repping it. Jerry Jeudy from weeks 13 to 18 last season was the wide receiver 6 in total points and average. I think Jeudy translates better to the offense that Sean Payton runs than Sutton.
Yeah.
And I think we know Sean Payton will absolutely rely on a single guy if that guy consistently gets open. After we watched Michael Thomas break the reception record in New Orleans, I think Jeudy has a chance to be a PPR nightmare. In that same time span, weeks 13 to 18, he was averaging 7.5 targets per game. And that was with a dud game coming back off injury where he only got 4 targets and 10.5 fantasy points in week 13. So he has the potential. If Russ is okay, that's a big if. If Jeudy can just consistently be the guy in that offense, which I think he has a better chance to than Courtland Sutton, I do think that he has a chance to be like a top, at least a wide receiver 2.
For sure. No, I'm with you. I agree with you. I don't know why I'm overlooking him a little bit. I think that part of me
fatigue.
Well, not necessarily. I honestly believe that part of me just wants Marvin Mims to just blow up the NFL.
That's fair.
And I think it's 100% possible. I don't
Mhm.
think Cortland Sutton is the challenge to Jerry Judy. I think that Marvin
It's
Mims is
Marvin
going to
Mims.
be. Yeah.
Very
But
well could be.
who knows, man? I could just see him. I could just see it happening. He's a good field stretcher, man. He could almost be like a Tyler Lockett style role for Russ. Get back into that action, but I don't know. I'll have to reconsider. I'll try not to be too overly dismissive of
No, I
you.
mean this is it. This is the make or break year for Judy. We've got another year with Russ, a new coach. Like this is it. If he doesn't pop this year and is at least a consistent wide receiver too, then it's probably time. But still, like one of those things. He's only 24.
Sure.
Like he's barely older than Christian Watson. So it's one of those things. Like he still has been developing. Like excuse me, good lord. He's been developing, like maybe he's just a little bit slower of a burn. I mean, CD Lamb has looked better consistently, but CD Lamb just had his first true I am that guy season last year. So I'm
That's
just kind
true.
of hoping the same thing for Judy.
I like it, man. I think there's a million reasons to believe it could come true, and I'm hoping for it.
Me
But
too.
all right, I'll roll into my fourth. I'm going into the running back room. So I'm picking up my second running back. And after so many 29-year-olds, I could not avoid the ADP 42 running back of Jameer Gibbs.
Oh yeah.
Um, I'm like, if I'll be heartbroken if I don't get him in like every fourth round now after seeing this. It's so weird. Like ADP is such a lie, man. You get sniped and you tilt and everything crazy happens during a draft. But if this all falls to the dream team, man, running out there with Henry and Gibbs, I feel like it's a kind of a bulletproof running back room. And we all know what the deal is, right? There's 350 carries up for grabs with Jamal Williams and Swift out of town. The targets are just from the running back room are upwards of 90 targets. So it's going to be wide open for him to come in and be a complete offensive weapon that when you go that high in a draft for a running back, you almost have to make him a dump truck worth of work, just taking the load. So
Yeah.
I don't know, man. There's nothing to say about a guy who hasn't played an NFL snap except they put the money in. I mean, they put the investment in, and they're gonna have to cash in on it quick, man. So I think I get a little weary of taking rookies in redraft because it's burnt me so hard just because of my dynasty
Mhm.
love. It kind of pollutes the mind, but this one I feel like him being a rookie is beneficial just because it's lowering his draft value, and he's going to be a gold mine.
Yeah, I'm with you. Just the I mean, I said it earlier talking about ARSB that he like Gibbs is going to be one of those guys that's helping that 90% target share that I'm looking at him, Laporta and Amon Ra. So if that ends up being true, you're talking about a kid getting like 30% of the RB targets. So that'd be impressive on a high powered offense. I like what you did there for sure. I'm going back to the wide receiver room. I'm just gonna keep hounding that
Oh
room
my
right
god.
now.
Okay.
And I'm not gonna spend a ton of time on this one because we brought him up in our sophomore season's episode fairly recently. But it's
Okay.
Christian Watson, ADP of 50. I just in case you missed us talking about him, um, Christian Watson was 11th in yards per route run last season with 2.26. That's ahead of names like Devonta Smith, Jamar Chase, and Amari Cooper. His passer rating when targeted was 123.3, second in the NFL. Only 12 of his 65 targets were contested. And there's 258 vacated targets in Green Bay. The only question mark to me isn't Christian Watson, it's Jordan Love. And I think Christian Watson may not be that consistent because Green Bay may not be that consistent with all their young their young core on offense, and Jordan Love kind of going through the pains of his first season of a starter. But I just think the uh ceiling on Watson and the like week to week ceiling on him is extremely high. And if you could take him in the 5th round as your wide receiver 2 or 3, I think it's a slam dunk.
Yep. I can't disagree with you. Can't disagree with you. So I love it. I'll allow it. I like it. I don't know what to do. I think he's a guy that I could potentially be targeting in this zone. But yeah, I don't know, man. I'm not as brave as you. I'm not going to go through 5 rounds with one running back. It just scares me. But I could be convinced otherwise, man. Let's see what you do later on down the road here. But yeah, I'm going to do something that I'm kind of growing on this in redraft single quarterback leagues is not really waiting on the quarterback position. I'm going to take Trevor Lawrence.
Okay.
And mainly on him, I feel like he's a value. You know what I mean? His ADP I think is pretty good, but it's hard to gauge it when you're looking at single quarterback. It's kind of like if you got a feeling about a guy, you just go in on him, and that's the long short of it. But right now he's going off as a QB 8, and I don't know. I have a feeling he's going to do better than that. Seems as how he finished the year as a QB 8 last year. He's got, second year with Doug Peterson, and now they've added Calvin Ridley into the mix. It just feels like, I don't know, it has to go up from where it's at right now. I was kind of giving him a hard time, asked him to throw up a 300-yard game once, in his life last year. And then he did it. He did it a couple times, but yeah, over his last 7 games, the regular season, he did it 4 times. And he was, the QB1 once, and he had top 10 games. Let's see, 8 out of the 8 times last year. And that's good enough for me, man. I think he's going to improve going into his 3rd year. Not a ton to say, except for I like him just as much as I like the guys going right ahead of him. And the ADP is way lower there's a big gap. It's like the top 7 guys, big gap, and then him. And I think he should be closer. So I think the value just pays off to get him in round 5.
That makes a lot of sense to me. I was toying with quarterbacks in this area too. I couldn't bring myself to take a quarterback before a second running back though. But I do like Lawrence.
I wouldn't do that either.
I do like Lawrence, and the gap there is pretty interesting for sure. So round 6, and I didn't go running back. I went wide receiver again, but there is a caveat to that. The way we're doing this, I kind of did it round by round, and I knew who I was targeting. So in a real draft, I probably wouldn't go wide receiver, because I would get scared that I'm not going to get the running backs that I'm targeting in the later rounds. But since we were doing it round by round ADP, I knew that guy would theoretically be there. So that's why I structured it this way. All that is to say, I took Jahan Dotson because I think he's going to have an incredible season. And I think I just think that's a solid core of wide receivers right there, 4 of them that are just going to crush it. Dotson as well as Christian Watson, we went over in the sophomore episode, so I'm not going crazy on here, but in weeks 1 to 4, Dotson was averaging 13 points. That was with a week he only scored 3, and he was averaging 8 targets. He led the Washington Commanders in touchdowns last season. Sam Howell was used to throwing to a small slot guy in Josh Downs all throughout college at North Carolina. I just see Dotson coming out and just crushing it, being a PPR animal, and getting fairly used in the red zone, just like he was last season. So I just think the sky is the limit for this guy, and yes. I like his value here.
I like it. I like when you say the sky's the limit. That makes me very happy. Dotson, I like too. I like him too. Him and Watson, I feel like this exercise, they were like 1 round higher than I wanted them to be. and it scared me. But there's nothing wrong. I mean, Dotson's gonna be awesome, dude. He's gonna get some red zone love. I think Sam Howell's gonna probably come out a little more respectable than the ADP has him. It's pretty horrible for him, but that's okay. No one's expecting much out of him. Speaking of a guy no one's expecting much out of, I'm going for my third running back. And I would say probably he's going to get a slow start to the season. He's probably not really going to help you out until week 4 or something. And it's Alvin Kamara, who is suspended 3 games. So I don't get it. Honestly, I wanted to ask you about this because I have to assume his ADP is just going to keep going up. It's at 80 right now. And I feel like when I started this exercise, he was at like 93, and it's just going to keep. How high do you think he's going, man? Like, so right now, this is a 6th round.
I mean, I feel like he could get up into the 5th or 4th, but not much higher than that, because still missing 3 games and an aging running back. But that name holds a lot of weight. So I could definitely see him moving up now that people know exactly how long they're gonna be without him. I think it could scoot up. I don't think it'll get to the 3rd, but I could see the 4th.
Okay. Yeah, I think 4th probably makes sense. 5th if you're going in the next couple of weeks. But I like him, man. I know that he's not going to play a full season, but he's got like 13 game, 14 game, 15 game seasons where he was still top 10. In fact, every year except for last year, he was top 10. And we're not really blaming him for that. His target share went way down. The touchdown numbers, he only had 4 touchdowns, which is kind of crazy. I think that with Derek Carr in there, it's going to stabilize that whole offensive unit. Honestly, think that Michael Thomas is going to have a pretty decent year coming back. And I think it's going to be kind of like old New Orleans up in there. And I think they're counting on Alvin Kamara in a big way. I think, I mean, they have a complete team just about without Alvin Kamara. And then you throw him in like the universal magic that he is on a football field on top of all that. And I think that he could just go off. And I don't know. I kind of like the Saints a lot this year, all of a sudden, man. But,
and with Kareem Hunt apparently not signing with New Orleans, that's like, or like, we don't know yet. That's upside for Kamara as well. And yeah, I mean, he's a monster, man. So like getting him in the 6th round would be a steal if he produces like he usually does for 14 weeks for you. Okay, sorry about the first 3, but you'll be all right.
For real. Yeah.
Go ahead.
I always think that I'd rather have a guy out the first 3 games than a guy injured in the middle of the season for 3 games. You know, like 100%. You know what you get. You can 3rd running back on the roster. You can flex a little bit and get through. So
for sure. Well, let me add my 2nd running back to the roster. Tough in round 7.
Crazy, dude.
Doing an experiment here. And it's high risk, high reward here, I think. Because I'm going Javonte Williams in the 7th round. I apparently traded out of him in one of our leagues too early. I traded out of him for Kendre Miller and Michael Mayer. Hopefully that ends up working out, because everything coming out of Broncos camp right now indicates that Javonte Williams is looking great and he's looking ready to go. And if he is, and obviously that's an if, this is why I want him here. A good chunk of targets, like total target share for a running back room, is 20% for a team. Like that's pretty good. Sean Payton's offenses averaged 31% of their targets to the running back. And we're talking about Javonte Williams, who was arguably the best wide receiver, or the best receiving running back coming out of his class. I forget who else. I'll stand by arguably, but maybe it wouldn't have ended up being the number 1 guy. But he was in that conversation. So if he is healthy and he starts getting the workload that, like, say, an Alvin Kamara got, if Sean Payton views him that way, then I think he could absolutely explode. 250 total touches for Kamara 4 straight seasons from 2018 to 2021. That's the type of like workload we're looking at for Javonte. And if he's healthy, he can absolutely handle it. And all we can do is go off reports right now, which say he is healthy and say he's going to be ready for week 1. So if he is, I am perfectly comfortable with Javonte Williams being my number 2 running back if he's healthy.
Yeah. I mean, you should be. Honestly, I mean, I got people trying to get him off of me in trades right now, and it's like shoe
Who
fly.
could
You know
that
what I mean?
be?
You know what I mean? No, don't that intro last week cracked me up about that
That was a
Jonathan
good one.
Taylor
That
trade.
was a good
I'm
one.
just gonna try to throw shade every single year now. Let's see if it works. But I like that. And this is the kind of thing that an exercise like this really helps with. Like I
Mhm.
see Kamara that low, you see Javante that low, and
Mhm.
like you construct the thought of a roster based
Mhm.
on those little nuggets of like, extreme value.
Mhm.
Um, and I hope that some of it translates into my actual drafts, because I mean, I might lean too far into this exercise and find myself in a bad place, but
Yeah.
that's all right, man. It's all in the name of love, and it's redraft, baby. You could just start over again the next year.
Yeah,
It's
who cares?
beautiful. No one's trying to get your first round picks when you start to lose. It's nice, but I'm going back to the old man wagon on this one. 29-year-olds only. So my 7th round pick, I'm going back to the wide receiver room, and I'm going with Brandon Cooks.
Okay.
And I've kind of talked about him a ton, but he's been extremely successful. I don't think he's lost much of anything over the past couple of years. Last year his average per catch was over 12 yards, and he's just like, I don't know, he kind of made that Houston team look like it was somewhat respectable, made Davis
Mhm.
Mills look like he could play some quarterback, even though we all know that ain't really the case. He didn't really play that much last year, but the previous year he was the wide receiver 20, and his last year with Watson was or his first year there, which was the last year with him of Watson, was wide receiver 16. I think he's just consistently been awesome. He's hit the ground running with new teams repeatedly in his career, like too many times. This is his 5th team. So I think that he gets in there, Dak's the man, and McCarthy wants to prove that he's like king shit all of a sudden. So I think the only way to do that is to maximize in the pass game, because they keep talking about running and I don't see it on that depth chart. So I'm looking for them to go through Brandon Cooks to get the job done, man.
Yeah, I like it. Sky's not sky's the limit.
Ooh.
Things are trending upward for Brandon Cooks again. I mean, he just another guy that just consistently crushes it. But I think you're right. Like the wide receiver 2 role in Dallas is a pretty juicy one. So
Hell yeah.
going into round 8, I've got most of my wide receivers already, so I'm just gonna hit running back room again because I need to spread out, cast a wide net, because
Yeah.
I didn't spend a lot of time in running backs earlier. So I'm doing it. I'm falling into the Antonio Gibson trap just one more time.
Nice.
It's a gut feeling, but I just think Gibson will finally start being used as a receiver out of the backfield the way he needs to be. And if Gibson gets 60 plus targets, I think that's a really, really good chunk of targets for a running back in the 8th round and could absolutely maximize his value. So like right here, compared to who else was on the board, I just think he has the highest like upside. Hopefully Eric Bieniemy will be able to realize his explosiveness and realize like the ways that you should be able to use him. And then I'm kind of relying on Sam Howell to be checking down a lot, a very, at least at first, a reeled in version of the offense where he's maybe not going deep all the time. So I'm going to have Gibson. It's a weak running back room, but I'm counting on Chubb to lead the way and Javonte to be number 2. But I like sneaky value with Gibson here.
Oh yeah, I like that too. Yeah, I don't really have him on any of my redraft radars, but I definitely have him as a sleeper. And if I were building a roster where I'm waiting till round 8 to take my third running back, he would definitely be. He's on my sheet, but he didn't make
Didn't make
the
the
puzzle
cut.
piece didn't fall in to that spot right there. Did you see these reports that like the players are complaining or mentioning that Eric Bieniemy is
It's
too intense?
too intense. I saw
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Antonio Gibson, for what it's worth, said that he thinks it's good that Eric Bieniemy is that intense. So
Hey,
just like I'm saying, they click, they vibe,
boom,
man. They
bada
vibe
bing, dude.
together.
Yeah, dude. I don't know. No, I won't say anything too weird. I'm gonna promise not to say anything too weird right now. So good luck. Good luck in Washington. And I'm going to move on to my number 8th round pick. I'm getting a tight end, you know. I know you went early with Mark Andrews, but I'm going a little bit later with Evan Ingram.
Good one.
What can I say? His first year with Jacksonville, he was the tight end 5. He had 98 targets, caught a ton of them, about 70%, and only had 4 scores. I think he could keep going. I think he could keep playing football with them. Now they got him on an extension, man, a 3-year deal, a lot of money. It shows that they're going to overload him. They're going to utilize him. They're going to make him the tight end 5 or better this year. I'm just putting it out there.
Damn.
I love the whole vibe with the like tight ends and redraft, man. It's like I could almost just do 2 tight ends at the end of the draft and still feel confident that I will, come out on top because he's going off as a tight end 8. It's like, how is this?
Doesn't make sense.
Yeah. It doesn't matter, but yeah, not too much to say about a tight end like Evan Ingram. It's good to see him have some success. I think it'll keep rolling.
Yeah, no, and I think so. It seems like him and Trevor Lawrence had a good little connection, and hopefully we can finally see the guy that we all saw out of Evan Ingram's rookie season. Oh no,
I saw, yeah. Is it an earthquake? It's going for it. Let's see. Yeah, Evan Ingram, man. So that's my official stack with the Trevor Lawrence, Evan Ingram.
got the stack.
Yeah, man, I feel good about it. So this part you obviously got to cut now. I'm just joking.
Yeah, sorry.
All good, dude.
All right,
We're on the 9th round, huh?
Yeah, 9th round coming up. So I got to go again. I'm gonna hit that running back well one more time. Kind of solidify that room a little bit. It's another wild card though, another risky pick here, but Rashad Penny is going to be on my team in another league. I really like him on the Eagles. I think that hard-nosed running style he uses is going to complement Jalen Hurts' style of offense really well. And I think he'll end up being better than DeAndre Swift as long as he stays healthy. We've covered it in the last episode, but Penny dominates Swift in yards after contact average. He also is a better just pure runner. Obviously doesn't have the receiving ability, and both of them haven't been able to stay very healthy. But I think Rashad Penny fits into what the Eagles like to do a lot better. And if he just is able to stay on the field, I think he could be a RB2 easily and could even push that RB1 status.
Hell yeah, man. Yeah, I like your pick there. And, we've kind of talked about it. A healthy Rashad Penny is something amazing to be beheld. It's how incredible it would be for football fans to get to see a whole season of that. As long as he's not healthy in the playoffs, okay? Super Bowl times.
That's fair.
That's the Kansas City only time, okay?
Gotcha. Everybody else has to be hurt.
That's right. So I was taking a huge guess here, knowing that you were going running back in round 9, that we wouldn't clash, and we didn't clash. I went with a handcuff. I went with Jamal Williams.
Okay, that's a good
one. Yeah, handcuff the good times with Alvin Kamara. Seemed like an easy thing to do. We don't. I mean, at this point, we all know. He had 17 touchdowns last year, which is like more than his entire first 5 years combined, which is, means that he's on a heater, dude. And they signed him thinking that he could keep it going, not knowing what was going on with the Kamara suspension. So I think that they'll get some good stuff out of him. At this point in the draft, it is what it is.
Kind of
So
taking flyers. No, I'm with you though, and like, I think Jamal Williams is going to be the one that has the most consistent role there, ironically, just because Kamara is going to be suspended the first 3 games. Kendre's a rookie, going to get worked in where he can. And Jamal's just going to be that stable presence like he pretty much always has been. Like his whole career has just been consistently good to great and never really bad. And so he's just going to keep doing that again. And he's definitely going to keep putting up points. So I like it. I like it a lot. So I'm finally going to address the quarterback room. I don't have a
Undress
quarterback
it.
yet. It should be fairly obvious to anyone that knows me, probably, but I'm going Aaron Rodgers here. Since 2013, Aaron Rodgers has finished outside the top 10 in fantasy 3 times. In 2013, he missed 8 games and he finished 24th. 2017, he missed 10 games and he finished 29th. And last season, played a full 17 games and he finished 13th. So I just don't see him finishing outside the top 10 again. I don't think he was that bad last season. And even his really terrible year, he was 13th in fantasy. 80% of Rodgers' throws were still on target last season, which was second in the league behind Daniel Jones, ironically. But I just see Rodgers on this Jets team. The only downside is the offensive line is a little bit shaky in New York, and that can tend to throw Rodgers off his game a little bit. But with those weapons, I like Mecole as a third wide receiver. The familiarity with Alan Lazard as the number 2 guy there. Garrett Wilson, I think, is just absolutely going to feast with Aaron Rodgers. I think they're on the same page, and I think their play styles work really well together. Breece Hall coming out of the backfield. If they do add Dalvin Cook, even Michael Carter, like there's just ways for him to get it done. And even a bad Aaron Rodgers is 10 times better than Zach Wilson. And this offense was pretty good with Zach Wilson. It was pretty bad with Zach Wilson, but Garrett Wilson had a great fantasy season and Breece Hall would have been the rookie of the year. So you add a quarterback who can throw it 80% of the time on target. Maybe Rodgers isn't superstar Rodgers like he used to be, but that team just needs somebody that can get the ball where it's supposed to go. And he can do that. So I think it's easily he's going to be a top 10 quarterback. And I think getting him in the 10th round is spicy.
Yep. I think he's probably going to be my friend as a QB 15 in all my super flex leagues. So yeah, it gets kind of weird. I do I like you mentioned Mecole. I like him in a big way. I've not watched Hard Knocks yet.
I watched the first episode. It's good.
Oh, cool. I was going to do that here after this.
Nice.
Not to let you guys know what happens behind the scenes here. But all right, I'm going in around 10. This guy you've heard me talking about. I'm going with my what is this, 5th running back? Ooh, feels nice to have 5 of them. But I'm going with Damian Harris, man.
Yeah.
Genuinely. I told you guys about his best year. I think he put up like 15 rushing touchdowns in 2021. And that was only on 200 carries. I think 200 carries sounds like a comparable number for him to get here in this coming season with the Bills. They're going to be in the red zone. They're going to be high powered. And I don't really think James Cook is going to be a workhorse at all. I do think he's going to be dynamic. I think he's going to be cool. Don't think he's going to be a workhorse. And Damian Harris is kind of getting overlooked. His fantasy projections are pretty decent. So I guess I don't know why people are skipping him. Maybe some people have been burnt. He hasn't ever played a full season. And so, yeah, that's it.
The James Cook hype right now is real too. But like you're saying, he's just such an explosive player, but that lends to somebody like getting random touchdowns, but not consistently. Like, whereas Damian Harris is more the guy to consistently be in line to score. I think you're right. But it is real on Twitter right now. That 3 down James Cook back noise on Twitter is booming. So we'll see. We'll see if Twitter has it right this time. I'm with you though. I don't think so. Round 11. I wanted to have a little fun here, and I wanted to fill out basically my like bench as well for all the positions. So I just went bang bang. I went quarterback here. Rodgers in the 10th, and I went Anthony Richardson in the 11th. Get the high ceiling guy. We've talked about him to death on this podcast. So I won't go that crazy on here. But right now, if you search Anthony Richardson, you will not find a bad article about him. Everyone is blown away by this kid, and they think he's going to be ready to start soon. And his upside is tremendous with the rushing ability. 654 yards on the ground last season in college, 9 touchdowns. This is a guy who weighs 244 pounds and he runs a 4.4 at QB. I'm just taking it for the upside here. If Rodgers doesn't end up working out, or if Richardson just pops off from day one, then I'm going to have a lot of fun with it. But it was mostly about getting the 2 quarterbacks there.
Okay, I like that. Yeah, I thought you were going to say if you Google Anthony Richardson, RDR will come up. That's how much we've talked about him.
Possibly.
That'd be cool, man. I mean, that'd be great. Yeah,
That would be neat for us.
we'd change it to Rough Draft Richardson just for him.
Draft Richardson. That's
But
pretty
that doesn't.
good.
Yeah, it doesn't make a damn bit of sense. But I love it. Okay, well, I'm going to round it out with wide receiver, man. And I really like. Let's see. Am I in the 11th round? So I don't have to round it out. Shit. All right. 11th round. I'm going with Alec Pierce. Yeah. I don't know if you guys have heard of this guy, Anthony Richardson, but he's the quarterback for the Indianapolis Colts. And I don't know. I think Alec Pierce got I don't know, kind of a shoddy run at things with that Colts organization. I can't even call it the Colts offense. It's like the Colts organization at this point to me. But over 14 yards per catch. He had some huge pop games, where he had, just incredible over 20-yard averages. And I see more of that coming, especially with this cannon coming his way. This is fully a projection of his known abilities and the upgrade at quarterback. So boom, baby.
One of the things, if you Google Anthony Richardson, one of the first articles to pop up right now is Anthony Richardson and Alec Pierce are developing an explosive combination. Like, I'm with you. I mean, we both liked Alec Pierce coming out last year.
Yeah.
I think hanging on to him and now getting a quarterback with a deep arm is going to help him out a lot. And getting him in the 11th round makes a lot of sense. All right. So finishing it out now, we were going to do round 12. Typically, obviously, drafts are a little bit longer than that, but we want to spare you guys listening to us for any longer. So in round 12, I'm going to get my backup tight end, and I think it's tremendous value. Chigzimi Okonkwo, or however you say his first name. I'm going to look like a fool, but it is Okonkwo, a tight end out of Tennessee. We talked about him quite a bit as well, but just in case you're unaware, yards per reception last year, he had 14, which was leading the league for the tight end. This was on an offense that was averaging 5 yards, 5 yards per attempt, basically, and had the 30th most yards. So this guy was explosive when there weren't any explosives to be found. And I think that's just going to continue this year. They bring in DeAndre Hopkins. I think that's a huge help, actually. He may pull targets away, but he's also going to pull bodies away, because before that, it was going to be Treylon Burks as the wide receiver 1. And I don't know that would have helped Okonkwo as much as I know it wouldn't have helped Okonkwo as much as DeAndre Hopkins being there. So I think with Tannehill being able to spread the ball, or potentially Levis later on, Derrick Henry taking pressure off of the passing game, and now Hopkins being able to be the lead guy there, just opens up Okonkwo even more. And I just think he's going to feast this year, top 10 tight end easily. And yeah, Let's send it.
Hell yeah, man. I like that. I'm tilted. I'm changing off of my wide receiver in the last round. I'm just gonna go with the tight end myself, and
Okay.
just marry it up because it is more interesting. And I'm gonna go with Cole Kmet, man,
Okay.
because
Yeah.
I think it's kind of weird that he's down here in these levels of ADP. A couple things about him that I can't get enough of is that 7 touchdowns for the seventh overall finishing tight end last year.
Mhm.
Pretty impressive. I got to tell you, the 6 guys that finished above him, one of them had 86 targets. Yeah, that was George Kittle, 11 touchdowns. That's amazing.
Mhm.
But the rest of these guys are all 98 or more
Oh
targets.
wow.
Yeah, and that's great. Some people, that's what you do. You get the workload, you make it happen. Cole Kmet, 69 targets,
Mm.
tight end
Wow.
7. I think that, I mean, they gave him a big old contract, $50 million. Like, what are we doing here with this?
I
I
don't
guess you got the
understand.
cap space. I hope that
Yeah.
I hope the 48 million of that was in 2023, and then they just get, free tight end for the next 3 years. But anyway, I think that, yeah, Justin Fields is into him in the red zone. It showed, and I think that he's gonna definitely be. I think he's gonna be top 10 tight end. So I don't know why he's going this late in the draft, but that's my whole story about him. Yeah, he's being drafted as a tight end 15, which is
Oh
like
wow.
the stupidest thing I've ever heard. He's ADP of 144. So
That's wild.
yep.
Well, there you have it. Is our 12 round redraft mock. Just to go over the teams again, my team ended up being Amon-Ra St. Brown, Nick Chubb, Mark Andrews, Jerry Jeudy, Christian Watson, Jahan Dotson, Javonte Williams, Antonio Gibson, Rashad Penny, Aaron Rodgers, Anthony Richardson, and Chig Okonkwo. So feel pretty happy. Gonna need to search the waiver wire for some running backs potentially, but I'm into it.
Yeah, man. I like I like your roster. Recap on mine. I'm just gonna go kind of the way it would read on a app. So my quarterback is Trevor Lawrence. Running back room is Derrick Henry, Jahmyr Gibbs, Alvin Kamara, Jamal Williams, and Damian Harris. The wide receiver room is Stephon Diggs, Amari Cooper, Brandon Cooks, and Alec Pierce. And then the tight end room is Evan Ingram and Cole Kmet. And my team's better than yours. My dream team is rolling into the championship. Now your team's awesome, man. Very thought-provoking stuff.
No, I had a lot of fun with it. I wish this was a real league. Maybe we can start one and just demand that we get these teams.
Should we do head-to-head? Should we start like a 2-person best ball league with these teams
With
and see
these
what
exact
happens?
teams? Yeah,
Mhm.
I mean, I'm down. Let's do it.
All right.
All right, man. Well, what are we getting into next week for them?
I heard tell of running back longevity.
It's here. It's here. We are.
Yeah.
We're gonna get into it, barring some sort of delay in my life. We are gonna get into our yearly running back longevity episode. So if you're a big running back guy, or you believe that running backs are overrated or should not be paid or whatever, maybe come take a listen next week. We might have some numbers that'll either surprise you or reconfirm what you already think. So
Absolutely. I think it's a changing landscape, and I'm willing to see how the information gets updated from previous years here.
yeah, I'm excited. So please join us. It's a fun episode every week or every year. So, but until then, we've been Rough Draft Research. You've been the audience, and we'll see you next time.
Take care.